Welcome to our channel, a DNA test, a buried secret and a royal identity now under question. Is Prince Andrew truly a member of the Windsor family? Someone from within the palace has spoken out, confirming things that have been hidden for decades. The results are truly shocking. The consequences are historic. From secret confrontations to cover-ups within the royal family, this story could change everything we think we know about the most controversial son of the Queen. So what did Prince Philip really discover? And why is King Charles now under pressure to act? Stay with us, as what we're about to reveal is not just a scandal, it's a royal bloodline crisis. The hidden DNA test has changed everything. The story begins with whispers, small and anxious sounds echoing through the private halls of Buckingham Palace in the late 1980s. Leave a comment with number 1 to join us in uncovering today's royal tale. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the latest videos. These are not tabloid rumors or leaks from the press. These are internal suspicions. And at the center of it all is Prince Andrew. Sources close to the palace now confirm that it was Prince Philip who ordered the DNA test. He was discreet and direct. He did not share this decision widely, not even with the highest-ranking advisors. His concern was not about scandals or rumors. It was about the integrity of the crown. The test was conducted using a medical representative and historical samples handled by trusted military contacts. The goal was to confirm that Prince Andrew, the Queen's third son, was truly his biological son. The results were a shock. The DNA didn't match. A palace source later revealed that the issue was not just about Andrew, but about the crown, the lineage, and the bloodline. That was what truly mattered to Prince Philip. This was not just a personal shock. It was an institutional issue, one that could create a crack in the royal foundation, potentially shaking the entire line of succession public trust and the legitimacy of a monarchy built on blood and heritage. Yet this never made it to the headlines. There were no press releases, no public consequences, because the results were buried, locked away under layers of silent secrecy and royal protocol. But now, with leaked information and recovered documents, the long-hidden truth has finally emerged. And what it reveals is not just a question of paternity, it's a question of identity, power, and legacy. If Andrew is not truly a Windsor by blood, what does that mean for his place in the royal family? This brings us directly to the next shock: the dangerous ramifications of royal bloodlines and the price paid when questioning them. A question of blood and power. In a monarchy, blood is everything. Blood is not just symbolic. It determines titles, inheritance, and privileges. But what happens when someone raised as royalty isn't truly royal? When Prince Philip received the DNA results in the late 90s, they revealed an uncomfortable truth. The results showed no biological match with him. Moreover, a second comparison with Prince Charles's data, conducted quietly to rule out lab error, also confirmed the same result. This not only raises questions about who Andrew's real parents are, but it also casts doubt on his right to the throne, even though he stands far down the line of succession. Andrew, eighth in line, has always carried the weight of royal duties. But if the bloodline is severed from him, who is he truly? Palace staff were reportedly informed in secret. Assistants were warned, do not mention this. Not now, not ever. The royal family closed ranks. Silence wasn't a choice. It was a strategy. This isn't about shame, a source explained. It's about protecting the institution. The fewer people who knew, the safer the family was. Because if the truth were revealed, it wouldn't just affect Andrew. It would call into question decades of royal tradition, ceremonies, public events, even the constitutional structure, everything built on an irrefutable bloodline. And behind the scenes, there was another worry. Would this cause the public to question more than just Andrew? The public might begin to ask, what else has been hidden? What other truths have been buried in the name of tradition? So the strategy was simple. No denial, no confirmation, and wait for time to erase the traces. But this strategy could only succeed as long as the secret remained buried. And when the person who ordered the test, none other than Prince Philip, learned the truth, it triggered one of the most private and tense moments between him and Queen Elizabeth that has never been recorded. Let's move to that next, Prince Philip's confrontation with the Queen. It wasn't an angry conversation. It was a controlled, serious private talk held in the Queen's private office at Windsor. According to sources, when Prince Philip received the DNA results, he didn't hesitate. He approached the Queen immediately. Those familiar with him say Philip was not surprised. He was merely confirming something he had quietly suspected for years. Andrew had always been different. Different in personality traits, energy, but he had never questioned his role until now. When he presented the results, the Queen didn't react emotionally. She simply listened, calm and composed, but clearly affected. Sources close to the late Duke of Edinburgh say he told her, "This cannot be revealed, not in my lifetime." And she agreed, not out of fear for her own reputation, but to protect the monarchy from collapse. One assistant later recalled the Queen's words that day, "The truth changes everything, but silence does too." From that moment on, the DNA results were locked away for real. The documents were sealed in a palace storage room and labeled under a neutral term, "Investigation not related to succession." The decision was made. No further discussions, no second test, no trace for future historians. According to sources, Prince Philip is said to have never brought it up again, at least not publicly. But those around him say it changed the way he treated Andrew. Not with cruelty, but with coldness and distance. For Queen Elizabeth, it was probably the hardest secret she ever had to keep, for as the head of the country, she had the responsibility to protect the crown. But as a mother, she still saw Andrew as her son. Yet the truth couldn't be hidden forever. And although the Queen and Philip maintained their silence throughout their lives, their absence created a void, a space where secrets became harder to conceal. And it was within that space that the person behind the rumors finally came back into view. The person behind the rumors. He was once simply known as Commander T, a respected naval officer. Decorated discreet, and according to new insider information, he might have been the one to father Prince Andrew. Commander T served alongside Prince Philip in the Royal Navy and was said to be quite close to Princess Elizabeth in her younger years before she ascended the throne. Photos of them together are rare, but they do exist, always distant. Always formal yet warm enough to spark rumors within the palace walls. He passed away in the 1970s, and after his death, records related to his military and personal life became incredibly scarce. A royal historian once said, "It's as if someone went back and quietly erased his name." However, the whispers in the palace never truly died. Staff working in the early 1980s noticed the physical differences in Andrew, his skin, his jawline, even his energy. Some dismissed it as a random genetic trait. Others, more suspicious, felt that something didn't quite add up. Now, with the DNA results once again brought into the conversation and the name Commander T resurfacing in leaked documents, the speculation has become more weighty. He is no longer just a rumor. One source said he represents a chapter in history the palace never wanted to write. So, is this naval officer truly Prince Andrew's biological father? The evidence still remains unconfirmed. But the silence surrounding his identity speaks volumes, and the timing of these leaks is no coincidence. Because in 2024, the pressure surrounding Andrew isn't just coming from the past, it's coming from his current scandals, making the palace more vulnerable than ever. Let's explore why all of this has resurfaced and why 2024 has become the turning point of this story. Why is 2024 the turning point? For decades, the royal family succeeded in burying whispers about Prince Andrew's parentage. But it wasn't until 2024, after a series of damaging headlines, that old DNA records were pulled back into the public eye. It all started with renewed scrutiny of Andrew's public role, or lack thereof, as his name had been severely tarnished by the Epstein scandal. And even though he stepped down from royal duties in 2019, the questions kept coming. But this time, the questions didn't just focus on his actions. They delved deeper into who he truly is. Then what really triggered the event was a leak. A retired royal archivist speaking anonymously came forward. They revealed that an envelope sealed and labeled "Investigation Not Related to Succession" had been kept under tight security for years. Inside, according to the disclosure, was the original DNA summary that raised questions about Andrew's paternity. This detail changed everything. Suddenly, this is no longer just a rumor. This is documentation. And with King Charles now on the throne and Prince William preparing for a modern monarchy, the royal family stands at a crossroads. Should they protect this secret once more or finally confront it? We had a choice before, the former archivist says. Now we no longer do. People want answers, and the monarchy owes them clarity. With social media exploding, public trust steadily declining, and international media covering every development, 2024 has become the year when silence is no longer enough. And next, we will reveal how a royal staff member risked everything to bring buried documents to light. The role of the royal archivists. It wasn't a journalist. It wasn't a political figure. It was someone inside the system, someone who had worked quietly for over 2 decades, a silent presence behind the scenes, a palace archivist. According to reports, this former staff member risked it all by revealing the existence of a sealed envelope in the royal archives. The label on the envelope read, "Investigation Unrelated to Succession." Inside, it is believed to be the DNA results that Prince Philip requested to be conducted many years ago. The archivist came forward anonymously, only through a legal intermediary. In their statement, they said, "I'm not doing this to hurt Andrew. I'm doing this because the truth matters, and it has been buried long enough." They claim the documents were not destroyed, as some insiders had believed, but were in fact stored in a restricted section, accessible only to the monarch and a select group of senior aides. The discovery of the envelope came as a true surprise. The palace is famously strict about controlling sensitive documents. But when Queen Elizabeth passed away and King Charles restructured parts of the royal household access protocols, quietly changed. That's when the archivists saw their opportunity. They didn't leak the documents directly to the press, but they alerted investigative journalists to where they could look. Once reporters began connecting the key dots, it didn't take long for the story to gain traction. And while the palace has yet to confirm or deny the existence of these documents, the silence speaks volumes. So far, there have been no lawsuits, no direct denials, only a quiet panic. A former advisor was quoted saying, "If that envelope exists, and if its contents are true, then this goes far beyond the family. This is about constitutional legitimacy, and that is exactly why this story cannot simply disappear." But as the media continues its intense coverage, one voice remains conspicuously absent, that of Andrew. What does he know, and how has he responded? Let's take a closer look. Denial or withdrawal. Since the story first leaked, the public has been waiting for Prince Andrew's response. Will he deny it? Will he defend himself? Will he vanish once again as he did in 2019? So far, he has remained completely silent. No statements, no interviews, nothing at all. But insiders say this silence hides something far more emotional. A source close to the Duke of York said he was shaken not just by what's being said, but by the fact that this has come back after so many years. Another source revealed that Andrew has known about the DNA test for a long time, and that it has haunted him for decades. Some now believe that the real reason he withdrew from royal life wasn't just the Epstein scandal. It was the looming threat of being exposed from within. Behind the scenes, Andrew has reportedly dismissed the test results as fake and politically motivated, blaming palace politics and internal rivalries. But those around him aren't convinced. A former royal aide said, "You can deny the press, you can deny the public, but you can't deny DNA." Perhaps more telling is the strained relationship between Andrew and his brother King Charles. According to sources, the two haven't spoken directly in weeks. Their last known communication is said to have been through aides, and it was described as cold, possibly even awkward. Some believe Andrew still sees himself as a royal by birthright, regardless of the test. What do you think about the relationship between Andrew and King Charles in light of all this? Could the DNA controversy forever alter their futures and the future of the royal family? Share your thoughts. Leave a comment with number 2 if you agree, or 5 if you see it differently. Others believe he is slowly coming to terms with the reality that his place in the family may no longer be a matter of official standing, but one of emotional acceptance. But whether he speaks out or not, the pressure continues to mount, because Charles is not just a brother anymore. He is now the king, and the current monarch has a very different view of what this scandal could mean for the image of the royal family. Let's explore that in the next segment. The quiet, growing fury of Charles. The quiet fury of Charles. King Charles has always believed in order, image, and legacy. He has waited his entire life to ascend the throne. And now, as his reign has just begun, a long-buried scandal involving his brother has resurfaced, threatening to destabilize everything he has worked to build. Sources close to the palace describe Charles as clearly very worried upon hearing that the DNA records have resurfaced. He is not only concerned about Andrew, but also about the public fallout and what it could mean for the legitimacy of the crown. According to a senior aide, Charles told his staff, "This cannot become a public record. Not now." Not like this. But even as he tries to control the damage, questions continue to arise behind closed doors. One of the biggest questions: why is Andrew still using royal funds? Why does he still hold ceremonial titles despite having stepped back? The pressure is real, and although Charles has been slow to act, reports say he is considering stripping Andrew of his remaining royal roles, including honorary military titles and public affiliations. Some insiders believe Charles feels personally betrayed, not just by the leak, but by the fact that this secret may have been hidden by their late parents. A source said he hasn't just lost a brother in this. He's lost faith in the institution he now leads. But Charles also knows his limits. He cannot completely cast Andrew out without causing even more headlines. Instead, he is moving toward a quieter solution: institutional exile. Less public appearances, less funding, and more silence. Because in Charles's world, silence is not weakness, it is strategy. However, even a king cannot stop this major story from spreading. And this story runs much deeper than roles and duties. It questions the very meaning of royal bloodline. Let's explore that next. Royal bloodline and why it matters. For the British monarchy, bloodline is not just symbolic. It is the foundation of power. Who you are depends on whose descendant you are, what you inherit, and where you stand in the royal order. So when DNA results suggest that Prince Andrew may not be the son of Prince Philip, it's not just family drama. It shakes the entire royal structure to its core. If true, it means Andrew is not biologically a Windsor. And that matters. It matters for historical records. It matters for constitutional legitimacy. It even matters for public funding. Because Andrew's position as Duke of York, his rank in the line of succession, and even the public money he has received all rest on a royal identity that may no longer be valid. A royal historian has explained this. The monarchy depends on bloodline, not just behavior. If that bloodline is in question, the entire system starts to shake. This scandal also forces the palace to face an uncomfortable reality. What happens when titles and biology don't match? Do you strip someone of their title, rewrite history books, or do what the royals have always done, hide it and move on? So far, it seems the palace is choosing the latter. But there's one detail that complicates everything even further: the Queen's personal decision before her passing. A choice that may have protected Andrew's title, even as the truth threatened to erase it. And that is what we will address next. The Queen's final decision and why she made it. In the months before her passing, Queen Elizabeth II was said to have done a lot of thinking. She knew her time was running out, and according to insiders, there was one unresolved issue she wanted to settle quietly. What to do with Andrew despite the scandal, despite the rumors, despite the whispers about DNA and succession, she made a decision. She allowed Andrew to keep the title Duke of York, but it came with strict conditions. No return to full royal duties, fewer public appearances, and permanent financial cutoff. She is said to have told her aides, "He is still my son." That doesn't change. It was a decision made from the heart, but also a strategic one. Stripping him of his title would have sparked a media storm. Leaving it quietly allowed the monarchy to maintain control of the narrative. There are still some within the palace who disagree. One palace official described the move as a cover-up, believing she placed her love as a mother above her duty as a queen. Now, with the DNA story exploding publicly, that decision is facing heavy criticism. Newspapers are calling it a royal loophole. Activists want Andrew's titles stripped, and some lawmakers are even discussing whether royal titles need to be reconsidered. Yet the Queen's decision remains. She left with that choice in place, and it's now up to King Charles to decide whether to uphold it. So now the pressure is mounting, because this story is not just about one man's identity. It's about the Crown's ability to face the truth and survive it. Public outrage meets public apathy. As the story broke, the internet exploded and the nation divided. Some are angry, others barely surprised. But one thing is clear: everyone has an opinion. Within hours of the leak, hashtags like Andrew DNA, Naughty Windsor and royalties began trending worldwide, broadcasters couldn't stop discussing it. Podcasts devoted entire episodes to the topic, and social media erupted with every theory under the sun, from secret relationships to royal cover-ups, and even hints at rewriting the line of succession. Public trust in Prince Andrew, already fragile, has now plummeted sharply. A national survey showed that 72% of participants believe the palace has been hiding the truth. Another poll found that 58% think Andrew should lose all royal privileges immediately. But when it comes to the monarchy itself, the response is more complex. Yes, some call the entire system a broken illusion, but others express sympathy for the Queen, especially now that she has passed away. She did what she thought was right for her son for the crown. She chose between chaos and control, wrote a royal commentator. Interestingly, young people online seem more concerned with the emotional burden than the scandal itself. Many wonder how this will affect Andrew's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Imagine finding out your father might not be who he's always said he is, read a widely shared tweet. That's pain, royal or not. The palace has yet to issue an official response, but insiders say the current plan is to say as little as possible for as long as possible. Let the storm pass. Let the news cycle run its course, wait and endure. Yet in today's world of non-stop news memes and spreading outrage, this strategy may not work forever. People want answers. Some want justice, and many simply want the truth. Because this is not just about a prince. It's about what believing in a royal family really means. And now, as pressure mounts from every direction, the next question is one that could change royal history. Will Prince Andrew actually lose his titles? Could Andrew lose his titles? It sounds almost unbelievable. A man born into royalty, raised with a title, photographed alongside national leaders and heads of state, might now be stripped of it all. But according to many legal experts, not only is it possible, it may already be on the table for discussion. Currently, Prince Andrew still holds the title Duke of York, granted to him by the Queen in 1986. He also retains his title as a British prince by right of inheritance. But if he is ultimately not the biological son of Prince Philip, does that still apply? Legally, the issue is quite ambiguous. English law does not require clear DNA proof to inherit titles. Much of the process depends on the discretion of the monarch. This means King Charles can revoke those titles at any time, especially as public demand for answers grows. Prince Andrew has previously lost honorary military roles and was banned from representing the crown at official events. But these were light removals, not formal revocations. Now, with the DNA results leak spreading and increasing pressure from politicians, whispers of a constitutional discussion are quietly taking place behind closed doors. Some insiders believe Charles hesitates to take official action, not because he supports Andrew, but because he fears it could set a precedent. If one royal bloodline can be called into question, then what stops other royals from facing similar scrutiny? But even without legal changes, Andrew's future looks bleak. Many charities have cut ties, public support has vanished, and most importantly, the palace no longer speaks on his behalf. The monarchy is a game of image, a royal observer said. And right now, Andrew is the image of everything the monarchy wants to leave behind. If Charles decides to formally strip Andrew of his titles, it would be a historic move, something unseen since the time of King Edward VIII. But even if the law says it's possible, the question remains, will the crown actually do it? Or will they once again protect the family at the cost of public trust? The answer may depend on what the monarchy wants to become: a family ruled by loyalty or a system forced to be accountable to the truth. And this is the final chapter in this ongoing story: what this DNA scandal could mean for the future of the crown. What comes next for the monarchy? With the DNA scandal now dominating global headlines, the royal family finds itself facing more than just a media disaster. They are facing a choice between tradition and transparency, between silence and survival. Inside the palace, senior advisors are rushing. Some are pushing for damage control, while others are advocating for a thorough internal review. One insider described the atmosphere as tense and uncertain, adding, "No one knows what Charles will do, not yet." King Charles is in a difficult position. He must protect the monarchy, but also safeguard its future. And with Prince William watching closely, the pressure to set a modern tone has never been greater. This is a test. A political analyst said this is not just about Charles's leadership, but also about the relevance of the monarchy in a world that no longer blindly accepts fairy tales. So what are the possible outcomes? One option is that Andrew is completely removed from public life. No titles, no funding, no public appearances, just quietly stepping back into private darkness. Another possibility is that Charles will handle the matter subtly, through internal adjustments, never directly confirming the DNA story. The most dramatic path would be an official royal statement acknowledging the controversy, affirming Andrew's stripping of royal titles, and emphasizing the crown's commitment to the truth. But so far, no such statement has been made. And until that happens, speculation will continue and trust will keep declining. What is clear is that the crown has entered a new chapter, a chapter where secrets are no longer buried, where silence no longer protects power, and where bloodline, once the source of royal strength, may now become the greatest threat. This DNA scandal has not only changed how people view Prince Andrew, it has changed how people view the monarchy. And whatever the palace decides next, there is one undeniable truth: the crown will never be the same again. If this DNA scandal is true, the royal family may never be the same again. What do you think about the changes happening within the royal family? Could this truth be a turning point for the monarchy? Share your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the surprising developments ahead.